Hello, Sandman Nation. What a great day to be with us, because not only do you get me, Pat, and Bill, but you get a bonus guest today with the one and only Mr. Brandon Lewis. Mike Passon was our first extra co-host a few weeks ago, and he crushed it. He inspired us to bring on a few others occasionally. So today, Brandon gets the call, and I cannot wait. Going to be another great show. So let's get into it, because it is time to enter Sandman Sports. As I said, as always, I'm here with the two best co-hosts in the business, Mr. Pat Klett and the Sandman himself, Mr. Bill Sanders. Normally, they hate sharing the spotlight with others because, let's face it, they just have a lot to say. Some of it's even good, but they have graciously agreed to welcome Mr. Lewis to our show today. And that takes us to the incredibly talented Brandon Lewis. Brandon is a longtime Sandman Nation member. He's half of the extremely awesome St. Louis Syndicate duo. He's a legend in our community because of his prowess with the Ben Harper Memorial Pool, and just an all-around great guy. And we'll get into all that a little bit more and ask Brandon a few questions. But first, let's tell our listeners where you can find us and follow us. You can find us everywhere this summer, just like cicadas in my backyard, where there are truly a million of them. I got to ask, do you guys have cicadas where you live?
Every 17 years.
Yeah.
Okay. It is like, for those of you who don't know, they're this weird cricket type thing, I guess. I don't know. And one of the breeds only shows up like every 17 years, I think. They literally are underground forever, and then they come and they live for like a month and irritate everybody. They make a lot of noise.
And
some local guy just got in a
cicada
car
soup?
accident, like yeah, never had that. Some guy like got in a car accident, like a serious car accident, because there was one in his car, and it like freaked him out, and he just couldn't
Gotta
get
focus.
Yeah, you gotta focus. But anyways, we have a lot of them here, but they're only going to be here like another week or two, and then they are gone forever. So we are also cicada free on our website, but we definitely have lots of content and drop new stuff every day. Just this week, we've added coverage on the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, college football, college baseball, tennis, Beerman six packs, Sandman's golf crush and fades, these podcasts. We did take a pause this week on our popular Fringe series because the boys there are on vacation, but they will be back next week with another cool article in that series. And guys, we have huge news. I don't even think Brandon knows this. I don't know if Pat knows this, actually. We launched an official app this week. Okay, official app. So for now, it's only in the Apple Store for iPhone. Soon, you'll be able to get it for your Android as well. But seriously, it's awesome. It's sleek. It has all the CME and sports content, including live scores. So go to the Apple Store now, download it, just search for CME and sports, and it'll pop up. Huge shout out. Yeah, huge shout out to Craig Phelan. Yeah, give us a good review. Thank you. Give us a good review. Shout out to Craig Phelan, one of mine and Bill's business partners with CMN Sports. Just awesome dev work to bring this app to life. A lot of work there. So follow us social media too, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all at Enter CMN Sports. All right, enough of that. I can't wait. I want to get into the Brandon segment. I want to learn a little bit about Brandon, have him share more with CMN Nation. Guys, Pat, Bill, we are going to have an opening topic here too. And just what's Pat showing
I
us?
got it. I downloaded the app.
Oh, you already downloaded it.
Yeah.
All right. Good, dude. That's fast. Good.
Nice.
Good. All right. So I do have a special topic for us guys in just a moment, but I don't want to be rude to our guest. Want to have him feel welcome. So we're going to ask him a few questions first. So Brandon, I know you're part of the St. Louis Syndicate. You're a Sandman legend who made picks this past football season, which, by the way, you were above 500 in those, so great job there. But first and foremost, you recently became a first-time dad, so I want to talk a little bit about that. Boy or girl?
Boy.
Boy, and his name?
Yes. Ellis.
Ellis. Okay, so
Great
how's fatherhood treating you?
It's been great. I was surprised by how it's just time intensive. I really thought it was going to be hard, difficult, and it's really just spend all the time doing it and you get good outcomes, at least so far. He's 6 months old. I'm sure the hard parts come later, but the just put in all the time, and he's a happy little baby.
Nice. So how's the sleeping situation at this point? You're probably getting a little more now.
We got incredibly lucky from talking to other people. Basically, at about 2 months, maybe 10 weeks, he got to the point where he could flip his legs up on the side of the bassinet. So we said, all right, you're going to move to your room and sleep in your bed. And from there forward, he basically sleeps from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. every morning.
Wow.
Incredible.
Without,
Dude.
like,
Dude. Yeah, you did get
wakes up
lucky.
every once in a while, little stir, cough, wakes him up, got to go back in there and put his pacifier back in his mouth. But we have plenty of friends that are like, I have a 2-year-old, I have a 4-year-old that doesn't sleep through the night. And you're like, I would have pulled out all of my hair by now. Like those first 10 weeks, especially up to the point where he's eating enough that he stays satiated all night. The getting up every 2 hours, I thought I was going to lose my mind. Like I was like, I'm losing connection with reality here. And as soon as he started sleeping, I was right back to it. And it was great. Like, yeah, he has done so well. And as long as you keep him fed, he just hangs out
Good.
and is happy.
Good. Well, and this is going to
Amazing.
sound very like unparently of me and unfatherly me, but honestly, if you made it through the first 6 months, I think those are the worst because they can't do anything. They have no personality. They just sit there. Now the fun stuff comes, man. Now they start to walk and talk, and so that's awesome, man. Congratulations. Has it put
Thanks.
a damper at all on like your sports watching, sports betting, anything there?
Oh, luckily, he's a big fan. From the jump, he sits there, he watches baseball with me. He's really into anything where they're, basketball, hockey, tennis, where it's moving around a bunch. He's captivated by that. He just sits right next to me and just goes like, oh, this is what's going on. He's really kicked off. I got this 150-inch, movie screen behind me, and he is just fascinated with the fact that we just have like full-size humans playing sports in our basement. So he's right in there and is just picked up right where I left off.
That's awesome. So, by the way, I'm not sure we can invite you back, dude. I'm looking at your freaking hair, and I'm getting really jealous, dude.
Yeah,
I'm getting really
seriously.
jealous, and I know Bill is too. So,
yeah, it's annoying.
So now, how long have you been a part of Sandman Nation? How long have you been playing pools?
I think 2016 might have been the first year.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken. I think
now.
so.
Okay.
The Rams Patriots Super Bowl is the first year I won Ben Harper. And I think it was like 18 or 19, something like that. And I think I had played for like 2 years before that.
Okay. Yep. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So do you, we'll get to the Ben
double-checking
Harper
as we
in a
speak.
little bit, but what other pools do you play, or what are some of your others that you like?
The knockoff of a super contest is my favorite.
Yeah.
I love the complexity of Ben Harper, but the fact that I can go onto the super contest website and compare what we're doing to what the official people are doing adds a whole other layer of fun to it that
That's cool.
I don't have the ability to get out to Vegas or get a proxy or whatever. So
Right.
I can play with us, and then I haven't got over the hump with that one. That's one I'm chasing. And then any of the Survivor stuff. I really loved the Survivor against the spread. I was so close this. I missed one game fairly early on, and then I had continued on in some other pools and ran all the way through like week 14 before I lost, and just went like, oh man, if I just wouldn't have screwed up that one game, I would have been in such a good spot.
Now, are you more of a pro or college guy, just in terms of like fandom?
I would say fandom, I have to go college. I don't have a pro team.
Okay. Really? Living in St. Louis, huh?
Yeah, I started picking games before the Rams showed up in 94. I was like 9 when the Rams showed up, and a couple of years ago I found notebooks of me picking winners when I was like 7. And so when the Rams showed up, I went like, I like them. Yeah, that's fine. But I guess from the jump, I went like, I just need to stay agnostic about this. And then the Rams left anyway. And I went like, all right, like it's fun to watch them. My brother's a huge fan, but I just go, I'm just going to stay. I'm not going to let it get up in my head. So So I've got Mizzou as my college team, them just being near us and me going to a college that's too small. But that's really the only team that I really like live and die with.
Okay.
No Chiefs?
Well,
Not a Chiefs fan?
I am like through my wife. My wife's a huge Chiefs fan, so I have kind of adopted that, especially with all of these playoff runs and us having parties at the house with Chiefs stuff everywhere. So I've kind of had to adopt that as a fandom, but I'm assuming as soon as Mahomes is I'll probably just go back to just being a fan of the best players. I like following the best players around and watching them play.
Well, I have a couple more questions for you, especially around the Ben Harper, but Pat and Bill get a little restless if they have to go too long without talking. So we're going to go to the opening question here. Let everybody chime in. So, and Bill is not going to really like probably where I'm going with this, but the Oklahoma City Thunder, they won the NBA championship on Sunday. Bill, are you still with us? Are you okay, my friend?
I'm not okay with this, but carry on. Yeah.
It was pretty much the worst outcome for Bill and all Sonic fans, but it did happen. Now, because the Thunder are traitors, for the purpose of this question, we are not going to count their Sonics championship from the 70s. Okay, so the Thunder win a championship for the first time ever, and that got me thinking, what are some pro sports teams who have never won a championship that you would love to see win one? Unfortunately, guys, no homerism allowed for this one. So, Bill, no Mariners, Pat, no Vikings, T-Wolves, or Wild. And Eric doesn't get to do the Bengals. Brandon apparently lives in the City of Champions because he's got the Blues and the Cardinals, and they've each won before. So, all right, Pat, other than your hometown ones, what franchise would you love to see win a championship?
I want to see the Cleveland Browns. I like the Browns of old, the Bernie Kosar days. I feel like they've paid their dues. They've ran through so many quarterbacks. And I want Joe Flacco to do it. I don't really care if they win. I just want them to be relevant, you know? And I love their helmets, by the way. Big fan of the helmets. Simple.
They were just put as the worst helmet in football.
I don't get it. It's simple. Yeah. It's the color of poo.
Pat loves helmets.
It can act as a chip bowl at parties. It's multifunctional. I love it. It's, I hate all the, I like basic, simple helmets, So, but give me the Browns.
The worst franchise since the turn of the century.
They need
in all sports.
Detroit and Cleveland were kicked around forever, and now Detroit.
Are you saying 20th century or 21st?
Yeah, I'm saying 21st century. The last 25 years, are they the worst franchise in all sports?
Pretty bad.
They have to be.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd say the Marlins, but even they figured out how to have
they got
some wins
at
the beginning of the century.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns, I think, have made one playoff, maybe. Have they made one? Maybe two. I don't know.
They made the one. They played
a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, against the Chiefs.
And then I think they made one and then I think they made one back in like 04 or 05 or something.
Yeah,
I think they've only made it twice.
Gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Pat. All right, so Browns is who you
Browns. Give me the Browns. Yep.
All right, that's not. I get it. Bill, what about you?
I kind of thought we might all four say the same one, but Pat went with the Browns. I'm going to throw the Buffalo Bills out there. It's the heartbreak city of losing 4 straight, wide right, laces out. They have a really likable quarterback, right? I actually like their coach. The fan base is Bills Mafia. They seem insane, but
Ray Finkel should die of gonorrhea and burn in hell.
Exactly. So, I was thinking Buffalo. I think that fan base has been through a lot. So I would love to see them get one.
Yeah. What about you, Brandon?
The Bills would. I have to be kind of against them being in the household that I am with the Chiefs fan. So I'm gonna go with the Clippers actually. I think with their fan base having to go through that long period of Donald Sterling owning the team, and then Ballmer coming in and really, as far as we can tell, being just a player's owner. Like, we're going to spend money. I'm going to build a stadium. It's going to be awesome. And maybe take a little chip off of the Lakers walking around high hat. So I'd love to see them figure out a way to get over the hump and win a championship.
Yeah, that's a good one. I went a little outside the the beaten path too. I thought about the Browns, but I'm a Bengals fan, so I can't go with the Browns. I did think about the Bills too because they play in Buffalo, and seriously, what else are those people living for? But just couldn't go with them. You thought about the Lions too, but I'm from Detroit, and I still have family that lives there, so maybe a little homerism there. So I'm not going to go with that. Instead, I'm going to baseball, guys, and I'm going with the San Diego Padres. I mean, first, it is one of the most beautiful cities in the country. They're a small market team. They've really never had a lot of success. They've only been in 2 World Series. And despite having been around since 1969, they've made the playoffs only 8 times in that 56-year span. They also lost, a few years ago, they lost the Chargers to Big Brother City, LA, 100 miles north. So the city just hasn't had a lot to cheer for. They've had one of the classiest guys ever to play for them. We've talked a lot about Tony Gwynn on this pod. So, yeah, give me the Padres as my pick for this one.
Yeah, that's a tough life. 72 and sunny year round.
Yeah. I love that pick.
It is a beautiful city. Wow.
That stadium's awesome too. Have you guys been there?
I've been around, like I've walked by it, but I've not been inside it.
Petco I don't know if it's still
Petco
named
Park,
called
I think
Petco
so.
Park, but
I think so.
yeah.
I've been near it as
awesome.
well. It looks great. I love the views from the inside. I wasn't able to get in there when we went, but it's a great looking stadium.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, guys. Well, that was good. I like those picks. So, Brandon, before we move on to our show, we got a lot of Sandman Nation listening to this pod, a lot of bettors, a lot of pool guys, a lot of guys who play Ben Harper Memorial. You got to spill the beans, man. We got to learn a little bit more about this. Not only you've won it twice, but in 2023, you logged an amazing $70 million bankroll, starting with just $100,000 of Sandman dollars. And for those who may not know, the Ben Harper Memorial Pool starts the first week of the NFL. It runs through the Super Bowl. You start with $100,000 fake bankroll. You make bets every week. It can be straight up parlays, game lines, over-unders. But you have to bet at least $20,000 each week. And this guy, Brandon, takes 100,000 and makes it to 70 million in 4 months. I mean, that is just amazing. We've had some impressive winners, but none like that. So tell us, walk us through what happened that year. What was clicking? How'd you make it happen?
I ultimately, because I went back and looked at some of the numbers today, I ultimately went on a heater. I had like 5 losing weeks the entire time.
It's incredible.
I ingest a ton of handicappers, and I just listen. I sit and I listen to people just talk about how they're handicapping games, and then I watch the lines, and I go, hey, we're gonna lock these on Tuesday. What do they look like on Saturday, Sunday, Monday? And go, is there a way for me to pair all of this handicap information that's out there with what I'm seeing with line moves and just try to dodge raindrops in all reality? Like it works great. I think it was 22. I had built up to like a little over 9 million, I think, and I lost it all in a weekend. I missed every bet and just went from almost 10 million to 0 in a weekend. And so sometimes you over leverage yourself a little bit and it gets out of hand. But yeah, I try to just get some straight picks in there to try to get a base, and then work out some safer parlays and just let it fly. I love the college side of it. I think it's not quite as optimized as the NFL. Like the NFL basically is a perfect trick box to a certain extent by the time you get around to Sunday. But I just try to not get out over my skis and burn myself.
What advice might you give somebody playing for the first time, joining the pool for the first time this year?
I would say you pay attention to the lines. Like because a line move doesn't mean that it's right. But the only way to win with this stuff long term is to find these stale lines and give yourself better than a 54% chance of hitting, and then hope several of them hit together. You can chip away and, hey, you pick up 10% each week. and you can build on that as long as you don't go backwards. Or you can leverage what you have, and when you hit big, and you hope when you lose, you don't lose big, and you can build in chunks. And that's the way that I looked at it. It is, no matter how good you are at handicapping, you're not going to be better than 56%. So you might as well find the stale lines and hammer them.
Yeah, well, this year, man, you're going to go for your third, so good luck. Can't wait.
Yes.
Football's almost
You
here.
need
Now
you need the
we'd
stars.
like to
You
interview
need
our
the stars.
4th place winner, me, and get some tips.
Yeah,
Just
Clet had a good year.
just our third loser.
Clet had a good year.
What I like to
Yeah.
do,
So
like, if I'm
you know
out
what, Pat?
at
I
a
will-
restaurant and my waitress's name is Mary, I'm going to bet heavy on Maryland. And then
This is the
it's a
prep.
pretty good system. But yeah.
Gotta look for the signs.
I love the Ben Harper, though. That's the best. I look forward to that every year.
Brandon, you are truly a legend, my friend. Congratulations. That is an amazing
Thank
feat.
you.
And good luck this season. And welcome to our podcast, man. Great to have you here.
I appreciate you guys having me. I'm honored.
All right. Well, guys, in just a second, we're going to play this week's edition of Be My Guest. And Brandon's going to get his first taste of that. Then we'll share some of our hot takes, get into Stone Cold Locks, this time for the Rocket Classic up in Detroit. And finally, we'll wrap up with the sports theme top 5, which I think will be a super fun and diverse one. In addition, we'll have plenty of fun and shenanigans along the way, including Pat and Brandon singing Achy Breaky Heart a cappella in the voice of Marilyn Manson. So stay tuned for that. Well, boys, it is now time for mine and yours favorite guessing game. That's right. It is time for Be My Guess. This is the game where you guys try to guess some sort of sports list and are usually very, very wrong. But we do have Brandon with us this time, so I'm feeling much more confident. This is going to be a fun one, guys. I think this is going to be a fun one. It's a little different than some of the ones that we've done recently. So it is the middle of summer. We've given a lot of love to Major League Baseball and even college baseball the past couple months. But a few weeks ago, I came across an article titled 25 minor league baseball teams with ridiculous names. And it made me laugh and it shake my head on a few, but it also got me thinking that this is going to be a great Be My Guest segment. And I've saved it for today. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to go in order one by one, and I'm going to give you the name of a minor league team. And you're going to tell me if it's fact or fiction.
Okay.
If it's true or
Thank
false.
God.
Okay. If you're correct, you get 1 point. If you're wrong, you get -1 point. It's as simple as that. Brandon is playing. He's not in the season-long competition between Pat and Bill, but he's still going to play. And in case you guys are scoring at home, we are halfway through that competition. It's very close. Bill has 12 and Pat has 10 points now. So it's anybody's ball game. Again, today you're going to each get 5 questions. Simple, true or false for each. You just have to tell me whether or not you think the name I'm giving you is an actual minor league baseball team name. Got it? Any questions before we get started? All right, we're going to go with Pat first, then Bill, then Brandon. All right, Pat, here's your first one. The Amarillo Sod Poodles. Is that a real team or a fake team?
Fake team.
The Amarillo
Fake team, Beerman.
Sod Poodles.
Fake
What'd you
team.
say?
It's a fake team. You can't fool me.
That is a real
Damn it.
team. That is a real
What?
team.
Hold on. Does anyone have a coin? I can just flip.
That seems too
What?
made up.
Yeah.
Sod
All right.
poodles?
All right, that was
No.
a good.
The
Come
Amarillo
on.
Sod Poodles is a real
right.
team. Look it up.
I'll take
All right.
Tacomas. I'll take
All right, here we
Tacomas
go,
minor league
Bill.
team.
Bill, all right. The Sugarland Space Cowboys. Real team or fake?
Sugarland would be Texas. I can see that as I think you might be tricking me, but I'm going to go with real team. Real team.
He gets a point. That is correct. It is a real team. All right, Brandon, here we go. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Is that a real team or fake team?
I am going to go with fake.
Goodbye.
That is a real team. The
Damn.
Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp is a real team. All right, here we go, Pat. Back to you. The Rapid
Shrimp.
City Mongrels. Is that a real team or a fake team?
You're not going to go 4 real teams in a row, so I'm going to break the streak and say fake.
It is a fake team.
Yes.
That is a fake team.
Nice
In the
work.
back,
All right,
with
good
the
job,
jack.
Pat. All right, Bill.
What, Eric, sorry, what was
Yeah.
the city that you just gave, Pat?
The Rapid City.
Yeah, okay.
It's
I thought you said
South
Rapid
Dakota.
City. Yeah. Okay, Rapid City.
All right, Bill. The Wilmington Blue Rocks. Real team or fake?
Blue feels very much like you'd eat blue crab in and around Wilmington, and I think Blue Rocks. I'm gonna say true or real team. Real team.
Woo! Bill's analysis is just
Spot on.
incredible. You know, and it's funny, Wilmington's in Delaware. If
Oh,
Delaware
I
Blue
was thinking of-
Hens.
I was. Oh shoot.
the
Okay, maybe
Delaware
that's what I was
Blue
thinking
Hens.
of.
So Blue Rocks. No, it's right. You're correct. All right, good job, man.
So the
All right.
analysis was totally flawed, but we still got it right, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Yes.
Because I was thinking Wilmington. Isn't there a Wilmington down in like?
There, I
North
mean, there's a
Carolina,
North
South
Carolina. There is. There
Yeah.
is,
Okay,
there
that's
is,
what I was.
there is.
All right.
All right, here we go, Brandon. The Peoria Strippers. Real team or
Oh.
fake?
Ooh.
I hope
What?
it's real.
Yeah, I'm going to go real,
Mascot.
hoping to just manifest it.
Please try again.
So they're in. I used to live in Decatur, Illinois, and the greatest strip club I've ever been to in my life was a place called Big Al's in Peoria. Doubt it's still there, might be, but unfortunately, that is a fake team. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Oh,
that
That
is
a
so
fake team.
unfortunate.
They're
Yes,
real and they're
yes.
spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, we're back to Pat. All right. The Wichita Wind Surge. Is that real or fake? The Wichita Wind Surge.
If it's real, it's a terrible name. I'm going to say fake.
no.
It's real.
Jeez. Come on.
Pat, you
I
needed
mean,
my
that-
analysis.
Yeah. That's true. The tornadoes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay, here
Bill.
we go.
All right, here we
I'm
go.
good at this.
The Nantucket Limericks. Real team or fake? The Nantucket.
That's a great
Limericks.
team, the Limericks. They're good.
Fake, dumb name, don't like it.
Perfect.
Fake name.
I don't like
There once
either,
was a
Bill.
man from Nantucket who said, "Fuck it." No, it is fake. Good job. That
Yes!
is- Bill.
Give
I'm
Bill
good.
the
Okay.
easy
fuck
ones.
is
Hey,
minor
I'm
league.
You
I'm
give Bill the
either
easy
all
ones.
good or terrible.
Yeah.
I run
All right.
hot or
All
cold,
right, here we
boys.
go. Brandon. All right, here we go. Real or fake? The Palm Beach Lifeguards.
Oh, that's got to be true. Yeah, that's got to be a true one.
Yeah, right.
Fake.
Oh, how do we not have a? How do we have a?
It
a
does
life-
sound. It does sound awesome, dude. It sounds like
It
should
just.
be real.
It sounds like one of
Yeah.
those low A teams that would just be like mostly made of guys that live on the beach.
Yeah, good mascots.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. All right, here we go, Pat. The Galveston Garbage Men. The Galveston Garbage Men. Real team or fake?
You like the alliteration. I think you made that up. You're a liar. It's fake.
That one is fake. Very
Yes.
good. I do like alliteration.
Oh, he calls
I do
Bierman
like
out on the
alliteration.
alliteration. Nice.
I do. I
That's
do.
veteran analysis.
That
well
is-
done, Pat.
Yes. That's true. All right. All right, here we go, Phil. The Johnson City Singing Carpenters. The Johnson City
This is so bad.
Singing
It's probably true.
Carpenters.
Fake name, dumb. Don't like it.
You going fake?
Yeah, fake name.
Nice
job.
Come on.
It's fake.
Dang it.
Yes.
It's fake.
Yes.
Good job.
Gosh, give me a coin
I
flip.
made it so bad. I'm like, maybe
Yeah.
somebody will think.
Yeah,
It's
you
so
you
bad.
almost tricked me into it. Yeah, you did. That was good.
All right, here we go, Brandon. The Hub City Spartan Burgers. The Hub City Spartan Burgers.
I'm going to go with fake.
Please try
I think
again.
it sounds too fake to be fake. Yeah, it sounds.
Yeah, it was one of those.
mean,
I was thinking, I was like, how would you come up with that name
that's
if it
that's
was fake? Ah, man, that is a truly horrible
That's a-
name.
All
Bierman
right,
is so
here we
good at
go.
these. He's
Last
damn
one.
good at these. It's annoying.
All right, here we go, Pat. Here we go. The Rocket City Trash Pandas. Is that real or fake? The Rocket City Trash Pandas.
There's no way that's real. If it is,
It's real.
I quit the game.
But he's a
forever.
fucking idiot, you know?
Then you
Shut up. Come on.
You may want to rethink
Sayonara.
that because that is
Sayonara, Pat.
real.
Oh my god.
That is
Wow.
real.
Heard of that one?
Trash pandas. Seriously?
Yeah.
Trash
Yeah.
pandas.
Yeah.
The
Wow, I
Rocket
was
City
thinking-
Trash Pandas.
I thought you made
Singing
that up off
Carpenters doesn't
raccoons.
sound so bad anymore, does it? Bill?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay,
All right,
5-0.
Here's what Bill's perfect so far. All right,
5-0. Let's go.
the Hartford Yard
Real.
Goats.
Real.
Nice
Yeah,
job.
Dick. Did you know that one?
No. Is it?
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
I was just going. That was my gut said real before you even said the name. Yes. Oh God, I love this.
Brandon, Bill is not very likable on this pod. We really
Ugh.
don't enjoy his antics
Hey,
sometimes.
look,
in this
after
game.
last week of both of them just getting worked,
No,
it's time
Dude,
for
I
somebody
know.
to go.
That's true.
5-0.
Last week was
Brandon,
brutal.
did you hear me though on the one? Eric, what was the one that I just crushed a couple weeks back?
Wasn't it most appearances in
You're
World
right.
Series? Yeah. Okay.
All right, okay.
We're at Brandon's last one. All right, Brandon. Here we go.
Let's go, Brandon.
Brandon, he's only got one right. All right, we gotta get this one right. Here we go. The Burlington Bricklayers.
Ooh,
Solid.
that sounds right. I'm gonna go true.
You should have went with Pat's analysis on my alliteration. That one is false. That one is false.
Oh,
So,
Man.
all right, Brandon, he was a newcomer to this game, so we got to cut him some
yeah.
slack.
But
He got
Yeah.
-3. Bill gets +5, and Pat got
Let's go,
-1.
Clint. Let's go, Clint.
Wow, that was big.
Game
With
is
2 weeks
dumb.
remaining.
this whole show is stupid.
Oh.
Hey, Brandon, we may need you to come on permanently after this, but we might be one Pat Klett short after this. Oh my God. All right. That was fun. There are some crazy names out there.
That's.
I mean,
ridiculous.
first of all, Bill, I don't know how you got all 5 right. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
that is
complete luck.
impressive. That is
Complete luck.
impressive, dude. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, let's now get into hot takes. That's right. It is time for Sandman Sports Hot Takes, brought to you by Mike's Hot Honey. The honey's so good, Cal Raleigh just popped up when facing it. Don't pop up. Don't strike out. Hit a home run by checking it out for yourself. Go to mikeshothoney.com right now. Order some or go to the honey aisle at your local grocery store. Pat Klett, start us off, sir.
Yeah,
What do you
I got some mild takes, not so hot. It's
Not
a
so
long
hot,
work
all
week.
right.
I watched about an hour of sports all week, but I did happen to tune in to the end of the golf tournament where Tommy Fleetwood shit the bed. Told you, don't bet on Tommy ever again.
Mm.
And he just
You
proved
did call
why.
that.
And the boring second half, I got to tune into the boring second half of Game 7. So that was my sports week. A lot of work this week, so I got a very mild take. But speaking of minor league games are the most fun if you get a chance. Go to a small town. It's like $10 for a really good seats. The most fun I've had is either watching town ball or minor league baseball. There's something about a good minor league baseball game that's so fun.
So there were 2 names on this list, by the way, that I knew. One is the Toledo Mud Hens, which
yeah,
I think
knew
most
that
people
one. Yeah,
know.
because that's a Twins.
the other
that's in
one
the
you and I have
Twins
talked about.
organization.
Yeah, well, I think this other one is too that I'm about to say. I didn't know that. I thought Toledo used to be Detroit. Maybe they're not anymore. But But the one you and I have talked about, Pat, is the Cedar Rapids
The Colonels game. Yeah,
they
that's
are
so
in the
fun.
Twins, and they were on this list too.
Yeah.
But I've been to a Cedar Rapids Colonels game before.
Same. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I was also at the Omaha, I think it's the Storm. I want to say they might be the Storm Chasers. The Storm Chasers of Omaha. That's a fun
Sounds
stadium
about right.
too. So the nice thing about those stadiums is that you're right next to the field. There's not long lines for anything. It's usually decent crowd, but not overly crowded. And it's still good baseball and good stuff. But that's my mild takes for the week. Brought to you by Mike's Mild Honey. What do you got for us, Bill?
I love it. Yeah, you guys know the Thunder just breaking my heart. It's nothing against the players or the coaches. It's nothing even against the fans of Oklahoma City. It is the idiot politicians in this city of Seattle. It's Howard Schultz, the spineless owner at the time, and it's Clay fucking Bennett, who is a dirty rat bastard taking our beloved team out of the city. I hate all of those people.
You want me to go rough them up?
Yes, please. Thank you. And then delete this podcast and any sort of evidence. Yeah, I mean, it just, you guys, I don't know if you've ever had something like this. It hurt way more than it should hurt a 51-year-old man.
Minnesota North Stars.
When this has no impact or bearing on my life.
Yeah.
Really. But yeah, just painful. Just so painful. Yeah. The North Stars for you. Absolutely, Pat. Yeah, totally get it. So that one, just barf. Just absolutely hate everything about that. And the Pacers, gutty effort. Very cool. Rick Carlisle, great job. Halliburton's injury. I mean, gosh, I don't know if you guys were watching, but just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Oh, that was awful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just saw it, and then it's just, and he knows, everyone knows. I thought SGA, pretty classy move of him to come over and console him a little bit when he was on the floor. And again, Oklahoma City, they're not done. They will win at least one more title. They just have a great young nucleus of players. So kudos to those guys.
So young. Yeah.
I love how they play defense. I love how hard they play. They seem like good guys, good teammates. So, enough said about that. Pat mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. Just ouch. I just felt so badly for him, although I was rooting for Captain America, Keegan Bradley. Great job by him. I did have a share of Tommy Fleetwood in the Calcutta last week. Joe Essie and I split. So that hurt. That was a painful one. And then I don't know if you guys saw as well, but Russell Henley chipped in
I watched
on
that.
18.
Yep.
That tie of Tommy Fleetwood now in second place cost me another $500.
Man.
Just Henley's chip in, and then Keegan just throws the dart. You gotta love gambling, right? But I just felt awful for Tommy Fleetwood. And then the last one, and Eric mentioned it. Great job as usual in his 6-pack this week. He called out my boy Cal Raleigh, the catcher for the Mariners, nicknamed Big Dumper. I mean, this guy, all he does is just hit a home run every night. I mean, the guy is just on fire. 32 home runs.
Does he have any shot at winning the MVP, or is it Aaron Judge?
I'd love to hear what you guys say, because from Seattle perspective, of course, he plays the hardest position on the field.
There was a time when the field was like plus 1,700 or something, and I really wish I would have put some.
I mean, he is a platinum glove winner at catcher. He plays every day.
It's
switch hitting. He's gonna break the switch hitting record for home runs if he doesn't get hurt and stays on pace. I think he's at 67 home run pace right now, which I think would be the second or third highest of all time.
Who has the switch hitting?
He'd be the third highest of all time.
Record.
That would be the
Eddie
third
Murray?
highest of all time.
Third highest, yeah.
Is it
Mickey Mantle, I believe?
Mickey Mantle.
When I wrote the 6-pack,
Mickey
he was 60. He was on pace for 66, and then that night he hit his 34th home run or whatever. So
I mean, the Twins have to just hate seeing this guy come anywhere near their city, because he just hits a home run every time we play the Twins.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy is just the most humble, cool, well-respected teammate. Shout out to Cal. It's just been a hell of a run so far.
Awesome,
and yeah, and that's it. How about you, Brandon?
Well, I got a fun fact for you guys to go along with the minor league topic.
Good.
So a while back, it's the middle of the night. I'm scrolling Instagram or something like that, and I find this hat. So there's this there's a minor league team in Staten Island called the Staten Island Ferry Hawks, and their stadium like looks out over the water under one of the bridges. It's a gorgeous looking stadium. And one weekend a year, they play as the Staten Island Gabagools, and they've got like hats and jerseys. So I immediately bought a hat.
Gabagoles.
And so now I just wear that to like the gym and around town and just have people just stop and come back and look and just go like, what? And just
What
go
is
like,
yeah.
Hey,
yeah,
Gabagool.
minor league. It's got the hands on the side and it's all Italian colors. And it's such a great marketing idea for some little team that just plays in this gorgeous park overlooking some water in New York.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So absolutely, it's hilarious. When you brought that up, I was like, please say Fairy Hawks or the Gobblegools, or I was like, I got one in my back pocket if he brings it up.
That's awesome.
That's great.
All right. So here's my hot take, right? I think that we've watched college sports kind of evaporate in front of us for a couple of years now. And I think that when we look back, we're going to find that this salary cap ruling is going to be the ultimate first domino on the evaporation of college sports. I think that ruling is going to be used to do all of the other things that they want to do to destroy the NCAA, and I think that's going to be the end of it. I think when they're able to use this to say, hey, we're actually employees and we're going to get rid of, eligibility requirements and how long you can play, and it's just, look, the bigger sports are just going to be able to turn into minor leagues. Your football, basketball, all that stuff's going to be fine. But it's kind of in the same vein is what Bill was just saying about a team moving towns and you going, it's just a sport, but it matters so much. And this is going to be that times hundreds of teams everywhere. And, we've already seen it with guys just turning into 2 super conferences. But when this is done, this is going to be the first domino that goes, we turned it into a salary cap league, and now now everybody's for hire, and it's over. The NIL, as bad as it was, because I definitely think it was bad, but at least it was outside of the structure of the NCAA. So that's my hot take, is that we've got another 8 years before we have a couple of more landmark decisions that lead to basically not needing to be a enrollee in a school to play for it.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
What's that makes me sad, but what makes me even sadder is you're probably right.
Yeah. I don't know how you walk it back. There's too much public sentiment on the back of the NCAA didn't figure out a way to fix this. So now the courts are going to fix it. And the courts never really fix anything. They just screw it up in a different way.
Yeah. Sobering.
Yeah.
Because all of us are huge college.
I mean, I love
fans,
college
right?
football.
Yeah.
That's my number one sport. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most pure thing for me. As we kind of go down and we talk about the top 5 and what we're going to cover, the way that I kind of got into loving college sports is completely different than pro sports. Like it's watching kids play a game for the love of playing the game is something totally different than guys fighting over $500 million contracts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well said.
Yep. That's a good one, man. All right. So for me, last week I talked about golf being a gentleman's game. It's one reason why I love golf is players are held to a higher standard. They carry that burden with pride. And I don't know if you guys saw, but this weekend, Russell Henley reminded us why the code, the class, the discipline, the integrity that lives at the core of the game still freaking matters. In Friday's second round at the Travelers Championship, Henley hit a poor tee shot in the deep rough on the par 3 8th hole. As he was taking his club back for a second shot, he noticed that the ball moved ever so slightly. He said later it was about the size of a dimple that it moved. No cameras caught it. No one else saw it, but he knew. He got up and down for what would have been a great par save, but afterward he brought it up to a rules official, even though the movement was minor and nobody else saw it. Henley was certain that it actually did move, and under the rules, if a player is certain that the ball moved during the backswing, then it's a one-stroke penalty. So he took it. There was no obligation for him to report it if he was unsure, but he did, and he even talked about how tough that is, like because you start to second guess, like, did it actually move? Did I see it move? But he really was certain this time that it moved. It felt right, and this is what I loved. He said it was hard for me to put it behind me. It was such a tough day. It was a good par save, but it was a good teaching moment for my son, who his son was watching. And guys, that one stroke, he came in second place.
Yeah, he
By
would have been in
one
the
stroke.
playoff.
By one.
It ended up being the difference between him being in a playoff with Keegan or not. And
What a
I mean,
dumb
even
rule.
though it's such a
dumb
hefty
rule.
difference in dollars, I mean, you could debate that, yeah. But he knows he did the right thing. So hats off to Russell Henley. You just don't see moments like that often in sports. So just that's awesome. The last one, guys, I want to go to baseball real quick. So, one great thing about baseball, I think, are the stats. So many stats, games, individuals throughout all the years. Some are meaningful, some are not. Some are very quirky, weird, but I find almost all of them interesting in their own way. So I want to bring forward two stats, and then I want to ask you guys a question. And these two stats are related to my Cincinnati Reds. So the Reds, they are the last team in Major League Baseball this season to be swept. They have not been swept in a series all season long. 26 consecutive series so far where they've won at least one game. So pretty impressive, but it prompted me to do some research to see who has the record for that. And the Reds have a long way to go on that front. So Brandon, your hometown Cardinals avoided being swept for 125 straight series from 1942 to 1944.
Do you remember that?
And very recently, very recently, the Baltimore Orioles went 106 series without being swept from 2022 to 2024. Okay. But there's one other stat about the Reds that has stuck with me for a couple decades. And then I'm going to ask you guys a question. So during the 2000 and 2001 season, the Reds set the National League record for going 208 consecutive games without being shut out. It's the longest such streak in National League history, third longest streak in all of baseball history, okay? Still stands today. So pretty impressive. So here's my question for you guys. Which feat is more impressive? The Cardinals' sustained competitiveness feat, going 125 straight series without being swept, or the Reds' offensive consistency streak, scoring at least one run for 208 consecutive games?
I would say not
As much as
getting
I'd like to be a
swept.
homer about it, I think I have to go the shutout. I mean, just with it being considerably more recent in the 40s, it was a different level of competition. It's a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, I as much as I'd love to just stand on the side of my team, I think I got to give it to the Reds on that one.
That's true too. The World War II was going on, so I wonder how that impacted.
But in fairness,
things.
the Orioles came close with 106 series, and that was just 3 years ago. So
yeah, that's
sure.
incredible.
It's not far off.
Yeah.
So
no, that is an incredible streak, especially since they aren't really like they've only been good a couple of times recently. Like that had to have been during a time when they weren't really like barn burning people.
yeah, I don't know. I find it to be a fascinating question. I don't know, because to not lose a series, I mean, it's so easy to get in slumps and streaks where you're losing 5 in a row or something. And it's just, you can't do that if you're going to not be swept 100 times in a row. And on the other token, it's hard to score a run every freaking game I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
What years did you say the Reds? What?
In 2001, and I remember when it was happening thinking, this is pretty cool. Like they weren't good that year, but I just remember like rooting for them every game, like keep the streak going, score a run. Yeah. I mean,
they're going to run
being
into a Cy Young guy or an incredible pitcher that's on fire that night, or somebody with just an amazing back end of their bullpen that's going to come in and shut down the 6 through 9 innings or whatever. I was going to lean on the Reds one personally.
I don't know. It's tough. They're both very impressive. All right. Well, last one real quick. I only have to talk about this because every pod in the last like 4, I've talked about the College World Series and it ended. So I got to give some love to the LSU Tigers who defeated Coastal Carolina. They won the first 2 games of the best 3 series. Game 1 was a gem thanks to LSU pitcher Cade Anderson. He threw a 3-hitter, struck out 10 in a 1-0 win. And it was a second straight dominant outing in Omaha. But not only is Anderson a national champ, he's about to cash in. He's projected to be a top 3 pick in the Major League Baseball draft here coming up soon. So congrats to Anderson on a terrific performance. Props to LSU for winning. And just honestly, props to the entire city of Omaha for putting on just another great event that I really wish more people would pay attention to because it really is a special sporting event. So. All right, guys. Well, it is now time to get into our Stone Cold Locks segment. This week brings us to Michigan for the Rocket City Trash Panda Classic is where we'll be going today. Not a ton of big names this week, but should still be a fun one to watch. We'll make our picks in just a moment. Before we do, let's take a look back at last week. And boys,
we don't have to.
Did you see who
Let's
just
skip it.
vaulted from last place to first with his Keegan Bradley pick? First place, brought 3 points for that. And I got another point for my Scotty pick. And you guys got a few goose eggs there. So the standings are still close. I'm at 18 now, Pat's at 16, and Bill's at 15. But sorry, Bill, no Scotty.
Yeah,
for
no
you
Scotty.
this
Dang.
week. So,
all right.
just a reminder for our listeners and for Brandon, we'll pick 3 players total. 2 can be any players you want, but the third must be a dark horse with plus 10,000 odds or worse. All right, Pat, what do you got, buddy?
All right, my long shot. Let's start with my long shot, Bo Hostler, just because he wears a kick-ass visor and looks like he's really good at computer programming. He's at plus 12,000. I just want to go to that tournament just so I can bully Bo Hostler. Number 2, Cam Young. He's playing really well lately. And I think Cam Young gets it done this week. He's my number 1 pick. And then Max Homa in a weaker field. It's a good chance for him to announce that he's back. He's been slowly coming back. At the beginning of the year, it looked like he was lost and couldn't get anything done. He started to get it back a little bit. And I think this will be a good chance for him to take advantage of the weaker field. So those are my 3 picks.
I'd love to see Homa start playing better.
Me too, dude.
Yeah, he's a likable dude. And it just made me think of, you guys remember he and Joe Griner, the caddy, split. I don't know if you saw that. I think it came out today. Colin Morikawa, who picked up Joe Griner on his bag, they just split after being together for less than 2 months. So
wow.
So kind of interesting. Colin Morikawa apparently picked some guy that he played golf with at Cal, I believe, to be his caddy, a Corn Ferry Tour player. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see. Colin is not one of my picks. I went with Mr. Aviators, Ben Griffin. See him at plus 2,200. Seems like great value. The kid just grinds every tournament. Feels like he's been playing great in a slightly weaker field. I feel like he's got a great chance to win this one. And then this is something I don't normally do, but I actually went on the heels of Bierman's Captain America pick. I'm going to take Keegan back-to-back this week. He's at plus 1,800. I don't usually like taking the guy who won the previous week, but he's got all the vibes going right now. I mean, the Ryder Cup captaincy, how crazy is it, you guys, that he's played his way right into contention for the Ryder Cup team as an automatic qualifier, and he could be the playing captain.
I know.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely incredible.
Seems like a conflict of
Keegan's
interest.
just such a likable dude. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's
I'm going to be playing I'm going to be playing in the 1 spot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play every day. Yep. What are you going to do about it?
Yep. That's right. I know. But how crazy would it be to see him have to navigate through that as a playing captain? I think I saw Arnold Palmer was the last one in the 60s, early 60s. So I don't know. This just feels like a huge one. Bethpage, USA needs to defend home territory. So anyway, Keegan's my second pick. And then I'm going with Austin Eckroat. He's plus 17,500. He's been playing pretty well, played well last week, and I'm hoping Austin can sneak into the top 10.
Nice.
How about you, Mr. Lewis?
Austin Deep Throat.
All right. So for my long shot, I'm going to go with Mark Hubbard. He's right there at the 10,000 line. Honestly, with my limited knowledge of golf, he's about the only guy at that line or below that I'm aware of. So
There you go.
I like
That's a good
him.
reason. Yeah.
And he's
That's
just
better
over the line.
now.
When do I?
And then up top, let me go with Matsuyama in Fowler. I don't have any deep analysis, but I've been
Bill
watching.
does not like the Hideki pick. He faded him this week, so Bill's not.
I love Hideki though. Just
I know,
to be
I
clear.
do too.
Yeah.
Believe me, I love him.
I hope you're right, Brandon.
Yeah, I do too.
This guy
I
needs
do
to
too.
find his way back onto the top of the leaderboards. I just love this kid. He's been struggling a bit. So
And
yeah,
Fowler's
hopefully
one
you're
of my favorite. Fowler's one of my favorite golfers. Period.
And Fowler
I
won
love
here a
Fowler.
couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All
2
right,
years
so
ago, I
maybe
think.
we got
Yeah.
luck out here. Get a nice
Yeah.
run.
I
Yeah,
would love
I like
to
it.
see both of them actually do well. All right, so this guy has just been close all season long. He finished 12th last week at the Travelers. I got to go with Patrick Cantley. He's second best odds this week behind Colin Morikawa, which, by the way, isn't it interesting when Scotty is in the field, he's the favorite at like plus 260 or plus 300. Colin Morikawa is the favorite this week, and he's a plus 1,200. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about how dominant Scotty is. So.
Yeah.
Cantley's only played in this tournament one time. It was back in 2022, and he finished in second place that year. He's had pretty decent stats this year. He had a long consecutive cut stat record going up until a few weeks ago. He's 11th overall in total strokes gained. It's just a weak field, so I'm going to go with Cantley. My second, I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick. It's another guy that I just feel he's ready to break through. He's had an up and down year. He's had some flashes of excellence, top 10 showing at the PGA. This is more of a gut play than anything, but he does have the 12th best odds. He's at plus 4,000 to win, plus 650, top 5, plus 330 to win. So aiming for a top 10 finish certainly isn't too far fetched. And then for my dark horse, let's go with Eric Van Rooyen. He's right at plus 10,000. He's right to cut. He finished 6th here last year. He finished second to Scotty at the Byron Nelson back in May. His driving distance is pretty good. His greens and regulation have been good. So we'll take a shot here on him.
Love that one.
All right, boys. Well, Brandon kind of alluded to this a few minutes ago. We are only 60 days away from the first kick of college football season, and I am getting freaking excited. So today, we're going to dedicate a top 5 to college football. This week is going to be all about our top 5 best or favorite college football games of all time. That's simple. Best college football games of all time. Can be for any reason. Can be because the stakes were high. It can be great ending, total back and forth throughout the game, a rivalry game, a personal memory, whatever it might be. That's it. Those are the only rules. So, Pat,
all right,
lead us off, sir. 5 and 4.
My 5 and 4, I went with. I don't know the dates. I don't know when these games were played, but I just remember them in my head. And the first one is one of my favorite games was when I began to be aware of Pac-12 After Dark, and ASU and Jake Plummer, Jake the Snake was. I don't know what game it was, but I remember that kid slinging around, and the Desert Stadium was rocking. And the crowd shots were like nothing I've ever seen.
What?
And I just wanted to transfer 96. Yeah, it was 96.
Yeah, 96, 97, something like that. Yeah.
And I just wanted to immediately transfer to ASU. It just looked
because
like,
of him or because of the cheerleaders. On the
a little both. I mean, it just looked like just a fun place to be, and I needed to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
That was my number 5. My number 4, I'm going to go back to my brother went to Madison. He was a Badger. And so when I was in like 5th, 6th grade, he would bring me, we would go down there and he'd bring me to football games. And I just remember, again, I don't know what game it was, but I got to watch Michigan come in and watch Charles Woodson returning punts and playing defense.
Dude, I was at that game.
I bet
it was 90. It was 97. It was so freaking cold.
It was,
dude.
I just remember watching this guy and being like,
That's crazy.
I think it was
Dude,
earlier than
it was
97.
so
It had to be earlier
No.
than 97.
No, Charles Woodson. Well, I mean, I guess it could have been 95. Could have been a sophomore, but I was there in 97.
Yeah.
That was his senior year.
Regardless, just
was the year he
watching him
won.
play,
Yeah.
you were like, this guy is better than everyone else on the field.
He was incredible.
There's no doubt about it. And to see it live, it was kind of my first experience of like, wow, this is cool to watch someone be this good. So that was, and it was fun to see him then go into the NFL and be like, yeah, I got to watch him when he was in college live. And being in Madison is not a bad place to be. Fun place to watch a football game.
One of the best, man.
So
One of the best.
That's my
Love it.
5 and 4. Bill?
I love it. Since we only get 5, I would never, ever, ever mention a game that happened in 2016 between Washington and Oregon, where Washington won 70-21 at Autzen Stadium. But we only get 5, so I would never mention that one. But to get to my number 5, Jake Browning famously pointing at the guy as he runs into the end zone, ending years of misery of Husky fans. I won't mention that one.
You wouldn't mention that one. Thank you.
No, I wouldn't mention that
So
one.
that's your 5?
No.
Oh.
So my number
okay.
5 is officially, I just wouldn't mention that other game. So, by the way, Bo Hostler went to Oregon, Pat. So there's no way you'll get a point from that. So my number 5 is actually what's known as the Whammy in Miami. It was 1994, Huskies versus Miami. And the Huskies went down there and ended their 58-game home winning streak, winning the game 38-21. This game is also kind of famous, not only for the Huskies' success, but because Warren Sapp famously deferred the kickoff in the second half after the Huskies started the game getting the ball. So the Huskies got the ball in the first half, and they got the ball in the second half. And then in the second half, they hit a 70 or 80-yard screen pass to a kid that just went down and scored a touchdown. And obviously the Huskies ended up rolling them pretty easily. But just an awesome game as a Husky fan, and just beating the hated Canes and ending that home winning streak. My number 4, this was my one kind of shout out back in the day to the iconic, and I'm going with the big game, 1982, Cal 25, Stanford 20. The
Such a good
band
one.
is
Yeah.
on the field, right? And one of the reasons I remember this is so well is that my good buddy Brian Smith, his dad Doug Smith, Cal alum, had this game on VHS tape. And I think that every time I went to Brian Smith's house, that game somehow was on the TV. I think Doug must have watched that game 1,000 times in his life. And so it's just, as a kid, I just remember, I mean, I had no allegiance to either team, but just what a crazy finish.
Well,
to a
most
college
people
football
don't
game.
realize how good of a game that was. The ending, everybody knows the ending, but it was a back and forth game. Elway was phenomenal. I mean, Elway, they scored a touchdown and take the lead with 4 seconds left. I mean, that's why they were kicking
nuts.
off. So, I mean, it was a great game.
The trombone player, getting interviewed all these years later, just classic, just absolutely classic college football stuff. So that's my 5 and 4, and I would never mention the other.
Those
game
are great.
That also happened.
Yeah.
Brandon, how about you, buddy?
Yeah. So I will start at number 5. This was
Brandon's
kind of
got all Oregon games. All 5 of his games are Oregon games.
Oh, that would have been dirty.
No, this was kind of the first period of really paying attention to college football. I was 20 years old, and I was living out on my own. And in January of 06, USC, with back-to-back
Oh,
Heisman
God.
Trophy winners,
What a game.
go to play Texas, and you go, at being 20, you go, who's going to stop Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and Vince Young shows up, and at the last second puts him in the dirt. And it went from a thing that I just watched when it was on to going, okay, I got to pay more attention to this sort of thing. And so that was
Phenomenal.
that was kind of the start of it. And with number 4, I'll jump to a year later when Florida beats Ohio State, and Tim Tebow, as a freshman, comes in garbage time, throws a 1-yard touchdown, rushes a 1-yard touchdown, and kicks off 7 years of SEC dominance, being something that, going from not really having a team or a conference or anything that I followed to, going, okay, like I have something to focus on here now. So those that'll be my 4 and 5.
Yeah, those are great. The Texas game, USC game, I thought of that was probably 6 on my list, to be honest. All right, so my number 5 is the only one on my list that I attended, and I guess it's my homer pick. I mean, I could have picked all 5 Michigan games, but it's the only Michigan game I picked, even though it was a loss. It's not the game. It's not how I wanted it to end, but it was still an amazing game. This was the game of the century, November 18th, 2006. It's the only time, up until this point, it was the only time that both these teams entered the game, number 1 and 2 ranked. It was billed the game of the century. It was the rare Michigan-Ohio State game not played at noon. It was actually played at 3:30 in the afternoon, and it was for a late November game. It was like 70 degrees. It was beautiful out, just gorgeous. And I surprised my dad with tickets, so we were there together. It was the last game my dad and I ever met, last Michigan game my dad and I ever went to. So just some personal memories. The game itself was incredible. It was the day after Schembechler died, so Michigan was playing with a lot of emotion. They nearly rallied to win, but Heisman winning quarterback Troy Smith threw 4 touchdowns. Buckeyes had 503 yards of offense, and they won 42-39. My number 4, guys, this game could have easily been number 1. We're going back to the Fiesta Bowl, January 1st, 2007. Game, for so many reasons, this game was so good. This was Boise State 43, Oklahoma 42, overtime. Boise State had flirted for years with being just a great mid-major, but could they really play with the big boys? They showed that they could. It was a back-and-forth game. Sooners took a 35-28 lead with a minute left to play. With a pick 6 is how they scored. From midfield on a 4th down, do-or-die play, Broncos quarterback Jared Zabransky threw a 15-yard pass to a receiver who then lateraled to another receiver. That guy took it 35 yards for a touchdown, 7 seconds left on the clock. PAT goes to overtime. In overtime, Sooners scored first. Broncos scored instead of going for the PAT. Old Statue of Liberty play. Running back Ian Johnson runs in, scores the 2, and then for good measure, he gets down on one knee and proposes to his cheerleader girlfriend. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up. It was incredible. So honestly, one of my favorite games to watch ever. So that was my number 4.
Yeah, I'll put that as my
Phenomenal.
I was going to put that as 2. I'll put that as my number 3 just to piggyback on it.
God, that game
was so good. I
So
watched
good.
that game. I remember Adrian Peterson was playing for Oklahoma at the time.
Yes,
AP,
you're right.
The proposal, the Statue of Liberty, it was just one of the coolest games. And the great part about that was it was David versus Goliath. Boise State, you didn't think they belonged, and that was a great game. And then my number 2, I have the Bama Georgia 2018 where Jalen Hurts was benched, and Tua comes in and drops it right in Devontae Smith's hands. And I've talked about this before, how much I love lefty quarterbacks. They're the best. I love left-handed quarterbacks. So that was, for me, that was a cool one. Because at the time I was kind of like, I didn't like Jalen Hurts. And so I was like,
dude, I was calling Saban an idiot for making that move. And then he made
I think we
me
all
look
were.
like an idiot. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Dude, that's a great game, Pat. That's great. Yeah, that was a good one.
That's number 2.
Phenomenal.
Though. It gets even better, Eric.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
I just shout out. You mentioned that amazing Fiesta Bowl, Chris Peterson coach. The game that I didn't mention at all, also Chris Peterson coaching for the Huskies that day in a 70-21 win at Autzen. But I won't talk about it. My number 2 was Brandon's that 2006 Rose Bowl. I still can just picture Vince Young just couldn't be tackled, wouldn't be tackled. I mean, it was just awesome. And Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, just what a phenomenal game. So great pick there, Brandon. My number 3, is the 2013 Iron Bowl, known as the Kick Six, between Auburn and Alabama. And what I'd forgot about this game in going back and researching this is that Nick Saban actually argued with the officials and got 1 second
Yes.
put back on the game clock so that the kid could come in and try the 57-yard field goal that then Chris Davis returned 100 plus yards for the win. And just feels sweet as well. I don't really have anything against Nick Saban. He's in the GOAT, I would, say, of college football coaches. But what an ironic, I guess, way in the Iron Bowl. See what I did there?
Yeah.
For
That was funny.
for Auburn to win. So yeah, that's my 3 and 2.
Great one.
Brandon, how about you, bud?
My number 3 is the SEC championship game in 2010. Cam Newton, 4 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing. I just remember, getting to the end of, having some of the running quarterbacks that we've always had and having him show up and go, oh, you can be the size of a refrigerator and be a running quarterback as well. And just watching that entire being kind of early in internet culture where it was kind of like, well, and he got ran out of Florida. There was some stuff, some rumblings. He comes back, he comes into Auburn. They go undefeated. And just one of the most dominant seasons from a singular player I can think of, kind of culminating, obviously, when they go to the championship game, they kind of just rout Oregon. But that game where he just goes in there and just hands a whipping to South Carolina just sticks out in my head as a singular act by one player. And then number 2, it has a little bit of a story behind it. 2012 season, the national title game, Bama beats Notre Dame. That's the Manti Te'o year. And this was early on when me and my brother had started gambling offshore, like really early on in our career, just kind of screwing around and making some picks. And he goes in and picks all of the major bowl games. He hits the Rose, the Sugar, the Orange, the Cotton, the Fiesta, the national title game, parlays them together and goes, I'm going to put a little money on it, and runs the table. And we're sitting there watching the national title game. When you go into it, you go, Notre Dame, they may really have a shot. And Bama just routs them. And we just had a party for 3 hours where he was like, I'm going to pay for my apartment for like half the year off of this. Now, I'm
awesome.
never going to forget the first time that I was sitting in a room with somebody that just hammered a ridiculous parlay.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be in the back of my mind.
Phenomenal. I love that.
That's so great.
The game makes the list because it helped you win a huge bet. That's freaking
yes,
awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. All right, my number 3 was Bills Kick Six. Most people don't realize that was a big game. It was number 4 versus number 1, so it was a huge game. I'll let ESPN say it better than me on this one. So this was what ESPN wrote about it when it was ranking some of the best games. Quote, so much had to happen to set the table for the Kick Six. The Tigers had to come back to tie the Crimson Tide with 32 seconds remaining. Alabama coach Nick Saban had to decide to try for a winning field goal. Tied back, TJ Yeldon had to step out of bounds at the Auburn 38 a split second before time expired. Alabama kicker Cade Foster had to miss 3 field goals earlier in the game, and Saban had to pivot to freshman Adam Griffith's 57-yard field goal attempt had to fall into the waiting arms of Chris Davis. The rest is 109 yards of glorious Iron Bowl history. End quote. So, yeah, that was a good one. My number 2, apparently I like games that end with strange things happening around kicked balls. This game I'm going with was 1997, November 8th, Nebraska 45, Missouri 38. This game was notable because not only was it a great back and forth game featuring Nebraska, the number 1 team in the country, on the ropes, but this was also the year my Michigan Wolverines were having a great season too. This was the year 1 year before the BCS came into play. So voting still mattered and optics still mattered. So I knew Nebraska could be a problem for Michigan. So I was rooting against them. I thought this could be the one where the Huskers take an L because Missouri was, I mean, they were in it the whole time. Well, God, Brad, I forgot this game real well. But on the last play of regulation, a miracle play happened called the flea kicker, which is such a great name. But Nebraska wide receiver Matt Davison caught a touchdown pass from Scott Frost that was reflected off of teammate Seven Wiggins' foot, which I still think should have been deemed an illegal play. I mean, you can tell he obviously kicked it when he knew he wasn't going to catch it. But they tied it up. Nebraska then won the game in overtime, and they would go on to, last time this will ever happen, split national championship with Michigan. So that was my number 2. All right, Pat,
that
we
was
got
wild.
number 1.
Number 1,
Yeah,
Brandon.
that was
Brando,
crazy.
we got a 2-pack. We got the 2006
Nice.
Rose Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
or is that a 3-pack? Did you said it too, right? Beer?
3-pack.
That's 3.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I have that one. Yeah.
And it would have been it was my number 6. I thought long and hard about it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched that one in Mexico when I was running with the Jalisco cartel, and it was awesome. It was so cool. No, I was on vacation, but anyhow, it was. I mean, you got all the big names, and no one could tackle Vince Young. And the way he kind of scooted in the end zone at the end, it just
So
kind of
good.
shimmied by and just right inside the pylon. What a game! Yeah,
Iconic.
that was so cool. So nothing else
Yeah,
needs to
yeah,
be said
that
on
one
that
could.
one.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great one. That could have easily been my number 1, except you guys know how big of a homer I am. So I'm going to go to the 1992 Rose Bowl between number 2 UW and number 4 Michigan. Sorry, Bierman, nothing personal. But UW won the game 34-14. Infamously, Mario Bailey, wide receiver for the Huskies, scored on a 38-yard touchdown for Mark Brunell and struck the Heisman pose as a shot at Heisman winner, who I'm just completely, Desmond Howard. Jeez,
Yeah.
I was totally blanking on his name, who he had met earlier in the week.
That
And
sounds
apparently
like something unclassy that a Washington player would do.
Yeah. I mean, it was completely spite filled, which I think the entire fan base ate up, But Desmond Howard, apparently, this is the story from Mario Bailey, had brushed him off and was very cocky and dismissive when they had met earlier in the week. And so, knowing that he had iced the game for the UW and the national championship, he struck the pose. But just, it was one of those games that, again, you guys, I think, have all mentioned this in your top 5s. It's like there's certain things that you relate to, these iconic moments of your fandom for my favorite team that exists, which is Husky football. It was just such an amazing performance the entire season. But then in that game against Michigan, who was a very, very talented team as well, number 4 in the nation. So anyway, that's my number 1 forever. Go Dogs.
I was there the following year when it was a rematch, and Michigan got a little
Didn't
bit
go
of
so
revenge.
well.
Tyrone
Yeah,
Wheatley, I think, ran for about, I think he's still running for touchdowns right now, actually.
He had what's just crazy is I had forgot, but he had a touchdown in that game in the 92 Rose Bowl as well. Late in the game, he came in and mop up, and
Yeah.
he scored on like a 48-yard touchdown run. I mean, the kid is a beast. Man, he
Yeah.
was big and fast
Oh,
too.
yes,
Just
both.
an absolute beast.
We got Brandon.
It's my number 1. It's my homer pick. It's the thing that cemented, that Mizzou, it was possible, right? That November 24th, 2007, Mizzou's 4th in the country, Kansas is 2nd, and we drum them. Chase Daniel
Wait,
goes
is this
in.
basketball?
No.
I'm kidding.
No,
Kansas
but-
big. Most young listeners will not believe that Kansas
sure.
was never number 2 in the country, but they were.
Yeah, it was an incredible time. We had this big, and whoever won this game was going to go to the Big 12 championship and deal with Oklahoma. And by beating Kansas, Mizzou took over the number 1 spot in the nation for 2 weeks, 2 glorious weeks
I remember it. Yeah.
before
Was
we
Chase
went to play
Daniel?
Oklahoma.
Was he the quarterback?
Uh-huh.
Chase Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the cover of magazines, and then I went out and got the biggest TV that I could carry into my house, and then watched Oklahoma baptize Mizzou for just 3 hours in like the clearest version of a TV that existed in 2007. Just
37-inch Sony Vega.
wipe the floor with them.
Was it a Sony
What was
Vega? 37-inch Sony Vega.
honestly,
37.
I don't
That was
remember,
big
but
back then.
it was. Oh man, it was a beating. There's never been anything like that in pro sports. To go back to the conversation from earlier, when we talk about this is one of the things that we lose, right? Mizzou had played Kansas every year forever, and then we up and went to the SEC, and we don't have that rivalry anymore. It's
Yeah,
just
that's a
over.
good point.
It's gonna be a game that all the people that were around at that time that were a fan of either one of those teams is going to remember, and um, it's just not going to be a thing that happens.
All right, so my number one. This was an incredible game, but also an interesting one, and this is between two teams you never would guess would make my number one, but there's a reason why. I'm going
App
to
State,
the
Michigan?
GMAC Bowl, December 19th, 2001. Marshall versus East Carolina. All right, just hang with me on this. You'll understand why. So first, there's a personal reason, but that's not the main reason. So my first child, Mackenzie, was born 13 days earlier. So I was a first time dad, still trying to figure out the whole dad thing. Her mom was exhausted that night. So I volunteered to watch her, put her to bed, do all that. So I sit down with her on my chest to watch this game. It's like midway through the second quarter. She falls asleep. I didn't want to move and wake her. So I sat there the entire game. I did not move. Thank God I didn't have to go to the bathroom. The game was 38-8 at halftime. East Carolina's winning. So I'm like, please, Marshall, please just make this more interesting. Like, if I'm going to watch this whole damn game, this kid on my chest, make it more. Well, they did. So behind quarterback Byron Leftwich, the Thundering Herd, they roar back in the second half. Okay. 7 seconds remaining in the game. They're down 51-45. They're down by 6. Leftwich throws a touchdown pass to Darius Watts. Ties it up. The PAT is no good. So they miss the extra point. So the game goes into overtime, then into double overtime. Marshall holds East Carolina to a field goal. They score a touchdown. They win 64-61. To this day, this game is the highest scoring bowl game ever.
Wow.
61. Every possession, that's what you want. When you're watching a game and you can't move, you're
That's
like,
awesome.
well, at least give me action.
Yeah,
And
just keep scoring.
I remember thinking to myself, this is like an incredible game. Like, this seriously might be the best game ever. And I really do believe it was. At the time, it was the biggest comeback ever in a bowl game.
Yeah.
But that record was actually broken a few years later in 06 by Texas Tech. But sat there, watched every second of that game from mid second quarter on. Such an exciting game, and I actually had Marshall in my bowl pick'em that year too.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah, so I'm like, it was So
That's
it was
phenomenal.
it was a great one. Definitely.
Bierman. Oh, we lost
Pat
Pat.
left. We knew Pat. That's okay. We knew Pat's computer might die, but that's all right. We're going to wrap things up. So that was a lot of fun. Brandon brought it strong with a lot of good top fives.
Thank you.
It's just
Awesome
it's getting
having
me
you, man.
it's getting me want to go fire up some old ESPN Classic games there, man. There was some good ones.
For real.
So, yeah. Before we wrap things up, Bill, we got anything from the pool side we want to share with our listeners?
Well, I don't know if I want to dive into this week. I think maybe in 46, Eric, we'll coordinate some stuff.
Okay.
But we got some just
You got
a
some
quick
cool
teaser.
stuff coming.
Yeah, just a quick teaser. And I know we've been teasing this now for a couple weeks, but there's just some really cool things that we're adding into the site. We're really excited about, and I think Eric's going to have some information coming out maybe in his newsletter.
On the newsletter.
I'll let some of that. I'll let that happen, and then next week in the pod we can probably talk about it again.
Sounds
but
good.
also too, I just, speaking of firing up old vintage games and all that, I'm super stoked to be firing up some St. Louis Syndicate here in a short amount of time.
So I cut that segment a little bit short, but our fans want to know, are you guys coming back this fall?
Oh, we absolutely are coming back.
Good.
I can't go through football season without talking. I did. Fortunately, my co-host has 2 elite ball players during the summer, so it makes it a little more difficult to coordinate time, but it's going to get cool outside, and it's going to be time for people to start hitting each other. and we're going to be back to play some games and talk about some teams and make some bets.
Seriously, Brandon, to have you on. Thank
Yeah,
you for
great
joining
having you,
us.
man.
So much good. You're welcome back anytime, brother. But sadly, it is time to exit CMN Sports. CMN Nation, thank you as always for tuning in. Please be sure to check us out, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all at Enter CMN Sports, and our website, and download our new app at the App Store. Just search for CMN Sports. Have a great weekend, CMN Nation. Peace out. Take care.
Good luck, everybody.